Imagine unearthing a relic so bizarre it rattles the foundations of everything we know about history. Part fossil, part tapestry of myth. Scientists gather, eyes wide, as they puzzle over uncanny remains bearing both reptilian bones and traces of something more legendary. The world's earliest civilizations told tales of monstrous dragons, their wings stretched across the skies, tongues blazing with fire. But dinosaurs, those gargantuan creatures that roamed Earth for millions of years, surely had no need for flame or flight. Or did they? The line between myth and reality seems to blur in these fragments, and there's an unsettling sense that we've mislabeled something critical. The question isn't just if dragons and dinosaurs were connected, it's whether we've missed a stark truth that unifies both in a single, awe-inspiring narrative. Today, we'll peel back the layers of our collective memory to find out what truly lurks behind the stories we recount. You won't believe what the evidence suggests. Why do so many ancient cultures describe enormous reptilian beasts with overlapping physical traits yet call them by different names? From Chinese lung dragons to Mesoamerican feathered serpents, the details converge in eerie detail. One might expect occasional coincidences. Myths revolve around storms or harvests, after all, but countless references to scaled monsters that tower over villages raise eyebrows. Archaeologists stumble upon fragments of bone that don't fit dinosaur taxonomy as neatly as we'd like, fueling theories that we might be staring at a missing evolutionary link. Could it be that tales of dragons were garbled recollections of creatures that once roamed among us? Or are these bones telling a different story altogether? There's an undeniable pattern in the shape of the skull, the spine, and certain scar-like indentations that some interpret as possible anchor points for wings. Each newly discovered fossil, each half-deciphered manuscript, hints at a labyrinth of forgotten knowledge waiting to be parsed. Now hold on. Dinosaurs? Breathing fire? That defies everything we learned in school. Or does it? Certain species had hollow bone structures, perfect for storing flammable compounds, or so say a few renegade researchers. The Komodo dragon, modern in scope, can deliver toxic bacteria in its bite. If evolution had played out differently, might some prehistoric reptile have developed the biological apparatus to spew scorching chemicals? It sounds like a fantasy mashup, but ask yourself, how many times has so-called impossible science turned out to be incomplete knowledge? Yes, the majority of paleontologists scoff at the notion, but a handful champion the idea that we're ignoring subtle morphological signs. These radical theories challenge conventional timelines and the comfortable categories in our museums. The bigger question is how closely thirst for scientific neatness has blinded us. Maybe dragons never truly died out in the minds of humans because at one point, we rubbed shoulders with real behemoths that ignited our deepest nightmares. Picture a prehistoric dawn when colossal reptilian forms ruled the land, sea, and sky. Birds, we say, are the legacy of the dinosaurs, yet how easily we forget the terrifying silhouettes etched across millennia. The dusty caves of our early ancestors might have been sanctuaries adorned with painting after painting of scaly beasts, some interpretation overshadowed by modern classification. In their eyes, these creatures weren't textbook subjects, but horrifying realities that roamed beyond flickering campfires. Perhaps the long nights brought the thunder of wings overhead, shaping stories that would become our earliest myths. This isn't just about whether dragons existed. It's also about how deeply they've forged our collective psyche. We recoil, we admire, we try to capture them in our art. And through it all, we sense an ancient familiarity, as if memory demands we keep these beasts alive in our stories, warning or exemplifying nature's unstoppable power. The emotional resonance is undeniable, echoing through ancient texts and whispered cultural lore. So let's stack up the evidence. We've got persistent legends spanning continents that practically describe the same beast, scaled, serpentine, often winged, passed down through epochs in which cultures had no contact. Meanwhile, scattered across desert plains and mountain ridges, bones appear that paleontologists label as bizarre offshoots of known species. Are we looking at evolutionary dead ends, or something more sensational? Contemporary science edges closer to mapping out the minute details of dinosaur physiology: muscles, digestive mixtures, even pigments in fossilized feathers. The more we learn, the the more plausible it seems that at least some ancient species possessed traits far more dramatic than we ever believed. And as if that weren't enough, artifacts and murals in remote caves show reptilian figures with forelimbs extended, almost in flight, predating any known formal record. Each new find ratchets up the tension, like we're on the brink of connecting the final dot that flips our comfortable assumptions inside out. But what about chronology? Dinosaurs thrived millions of years ago, whereas historical dragon lore purportedly emerges only a few thousand years in the past. This jarring mismatch of timelines is where skeptics pounce. Fossils in the ground can't lie about their age, or can they? Some experts argue that catastrophic events or unusual geological processes may have jumbled the record. Others suspect that prehistoric species might have survived in remote habitats. Merely improbable or downright impossible. The Brazilian rainforests or uncharted Indonesian isles might have offered seclusion for a bizarre holdover. If there existed even a small pocket of dinosaur descendants, aggressive and visually striking, then the seeds for dragon myths could easily have blown across continents. So while standard textbooks draw a thick black line between the time of dinosaurs and the dawn of humans, these anomalies of evidence call for a second look. In this collision of centuries, we might find that dragons versus dinosaurs is less a debate and more a tale of misguided separation. Think back to the stories your grandparents might have told, a mythical creature prowling the hills, or a serpent in the local lake with radiant scales. These modern legends share DNA with ancient epics, bridging the gap between now and the dawn of civilization. We cling to them because they provoke that primal sense of caution and wonder, forcing us to confront the possibility that the boundary between myth and reality is not so firm. Real or not, dragons serve as living metaphors for power we can't fully tame. Yet countless personal accounts, especially in rural corners of the world, speak of sightings or hidden lairs. Sure, skeptics wave these off as illusions triggered by fear, but what if our collective memory is tapping into a distant era when real flesh and blood creatures with ferocious attributes roamed Earth? If so, then each personal legend is a small echo, reminding us that we might be more deeply connected to these reptilian titans than we dare admit. Now we stand at the crossroads of belief and skepticism. Scientists present testable theories, historians unravel cryptic manuscripts, and everyday people report inexplicable phenomena. Through all the swirling data, the question remains, is there a real continuity that ties dragons and dinosaurs into a single tapestry of Earth's story? While mainstream academia might balk at the notion of living, fire-breathing beasts, it's wise to remember that history teems with accounts once deemed impossible, only to be proven partially true once the right piece of evidence fell into place. Maybe we just haven't found that revealing corner of Earth's strata, or that hidden archive where a single text clarifies it all. Every new artifact, every re-examination of the fossil record, entices us closer to a vantage point that might revolutionize the way we see natural history, and perhaps human history as well. The stage is set for a revelation that could redefine the ancient Earth we thought we knew. The final puzzle piece isn't just locked in dusty fossils or scattered texts. It's also in our collective willingness to explore the unthinkable. Are we prepared to accept that dragons may be more than fanciful legends, that dinosaurs weren't as different from the beasts of folklore as we assumed? Let's pry open the mysteries of the past, decode ancient sketches, and challenge the dividing line between fact and legend. If something in your gut tells you that we've barely scratched the surface, then join the conversation. Do you believe the legends hold a kernel of truth even science has yet to confirm? Let your voice spark debates in the comments and keep this puzzle alive. If curiosity calls you onward into uncharted realms of knowledge, remember to subscribe and hit the like button. Because only by uncovering new perspectives will we ever discover what truly happened, and what might still be lurking beyond our established boundaries.